Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Boutique Fitness. I am Lisi Keeker, the founder here at Studio Grow. I'm joined by the enormously talented Heather Garrick, who serves as our Chief Marketing Officer. And today it's all about all the things we love that boutique fitness studios are doing all around the world. I mean, boutique fitness is a global game. You're going to hear us speaking with two very distinctive accents here from two very different parts of the world. And I think as someone who lives and breathes global visions for boutique fitness, it's been incredible to watch how things are just unleashing themselves around the globe.
That's right. And I think that's the real benefit of working with Studio Grow. We get to see these boutique studios thriving all across the globe and also being able to see things that are working in particular areas that we can share ideas for and see really taking off. So I'm really excited to get stuck into really delving into those things that we've seen that we really love, tips that we want to share, and I think giving some shout outs to some of our favorite brands in the industry.
So I think one of the things when I was poring over data earlier this year that I noticed, you look at circa 2005 to 2020, and a lot of innovation in boutique fitness comes from the US market. It's kind of like where it's born. We see Soul Cycle, we see all of these things, and people kind of look to the US. And probably around the era that we start to see F45, we see Third Space with like real focus on extraordinary boutique fitness in London. F45, of course, is in Australia. We start to see this idea that things are starting to really pulse globally in a very different way. And now when I look at the data and say, okay, where are we going to see the growth in the next 10 years? It's not going to be domestic here. I mean, we are going to grow. We are going to have innovation here, but I can look to our the largest Pilates educator in the world. That's going to be Marathon. You see that 70+% of their certifications over the last year took place in Asia. I think we're going to see explosive growth in Asia. I think the numbers were something like in the yoga and Pilates market, excluding India. Interesting side note on that. 37% of the growth is likely going to come in the Asian market, which in comparison to, 2015 to 2020 and 2020 to 25, it's a significant leap going forward. And then we've got the Middle East where we're seeing, this is my own personal opinion, there is no data to support this, but I think the Middle East, we're going to see this leaps ahead in strength training programs and things of the like. There's just some unique focuses that are starting to pop up, and maybe it's culturally pulling from India, where that's always been a trend, and then Europe and the UK are getting chic. Like they're doing some cool things. I mean, like they're
Finally, we're,
I
we're
love it.
getting there.
I mean, it's really wild when I see what's coming. And then we're leaving out, Australia and New Zealand. They've always been innovators. They've always been willing, and I think because they could push the boundaries at a lower cost. It's easier to get into many studios there. There's always been really cool concepts that are popping up, but my future one that I'm like, bring me 2030. I think Latin America is gonna start pumping out some really great things. Obviously, we have Zumba. We have some things that were massive, massive brands that have emerged from there. But I'm loving seeing where I'm going. So globally, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think globally, from the perspective of being in London, definitely a lot of eyes on Dubai and what's happening there. So, yeah, glad to see you kind of talk about what's happening in the Middle East, like particularly around brands and like I think this realization of the importance of the branding and the whole experience, more at the luxury and premium end. The UK has definitely got eyes on what's happening in Dubai, and then across the rest of Europe too, we're seeing some really exciting things happening, and it varies quite a lot. It depends a lot on the kind of existing infrastructure within the countries as a whole, because there's a lot more state support and there's more of an expectation that you will go and do your fitness. That's somewhere that's maybe kind of government backed, and elsewhere there are really big brands thriving. So there's different approaches that work in different areas, but what we're really looking to do is take the best of the best from everywhere and just push the industry forward.
Well, you touched on Dubai, so should we start in the Middle East? I mean, Unique things. I got to spend the last quarter of 2023 and all of 2024 building a brand in the Middle East. Saw, first of all, the demand for a luxury brand. And I think this was the first trend that I will say that I think I see coming is that we have a lot of things that are in premium services. So when you think about the levels and the layers, you've got HVLPs, which are very inexpensive. You've got like mid tier, which is very moderate range. You've got premium, maybe you've got an upper mid tier that lives in between them, but you've got premium where you're truly charging premium prices. But luxury hasn't existed very much. We have a lot of people that tell us, in fact, it was the number one most used word in every application that we had for new studios opening, that they were a luxury service. That's not how luxury is defined. Like, luxury is insanely finite. It is such a small number of things. And I think between Riyadh and Dubai, which are really going to be the epicenters of where we're seeing them pushing the boundaries in the Middle East, luxury is the very first like true thing that I see. It's a different version of this. It is cultivated and curated. It's the idea that you don't need to have absolutely everyone there. It's a thought process of bringing in great architects, of really looking for this as a truly holistic experience and saying, I'm going to change this. But it's also, and I think this goes back to maybe the hospitality roots that you see in the Middle East. You see that like hospitality is key. It's not a surprise that Dubai has given birth to Zero. I mean, did you love
Hotels
it?
groups, yeah, haven't been, but I've seen some like beautiful photography of it. And I think that equation to hospitality is a really important one when we're thinking about that differentiation between what do we mean by luxury and what do we mean actually by premium. They're two really important things. Like, premium is incredibly important. There's lots and lots of great premium brands out there, but as you said, that's different from a completely luxury approach. So when we talk about luxury, I kind of equate it to that 5-star hotel plus experience. It's like, it's every touch point being thought of. It's not just saying, oh, we've got great quality instructors and it's a beautiful space. It's all of those additional touches, like, are your gym clothes being laundered and dry cleaned and ready for you to go then the next day and they're in your locker? Have all of those points been thought of? Like you're saying, a completely curated experience that potentially goes beyond just the class, but it's groups, it's amazing talks, it's bringing in artists, it's talking about the architecture, it's bringing communities together, but in this kind of luxury, real luxury feel.
Yeah, yeah. And in truth, there's not many people doing it. I mean, I can count on one hand the groups that I think have the potential to be doing this and doing this well. And a lot of them are realizing there's only so much in the true luxury market that they can do. I think that you can see the fact that some of these groups are already even saying, gosh, we'll jump down to premium. We might have one super luxury place. But if you look Dubai and you look at like in Jumeirah at the Four Seasons, which, for example, their beach club has always had an extraordinary fitness center. They've always had this extraordinary experience and the price tag to go with it. I mean, I think it's 50 or 75,000 US dollars roughly. But they are thinking of every distinctive thought, and they're bringing the Four Seasons methodology of what it's like to stay in one of their hotels to walking into a gym every day. We went to Boston, and I lived almost like, I don't know, 3 blocks behind the Four Seasons in Boston. So it used to be like when I wanted a big treat as a 20-year-old, I would like go there, have coffee, and be like, this is amazing. So we were going back with Remy for football camps a couple of weeks ago. We stayed at the Four Seasons, and Kit walks in with me, and he's so cute. And they went, oh, Mr. Caspian. And I mean, to see, he's like, and they pull out this beautiful box. And I'm like, oh, it's going to have a treat in it. It's going to have something. And no, it has this magical old fashioned giant key. And right behind, I realized there's this door completely, you couldn't even tell. It was painted like into the wall, this stunning thing where it just looks like it's, and they open it up and we walk into this jewel box of a toy room. I know. And then they're like, choose whatever you want. And I mean, they've got full board games wrapped up. They've got books, and I mean beautiful books, cloth-bound books, like the kind of books you like as an adult I treasure from my childhood. They've got stuffed animals, they've got water bottles, they've got sunglasses, they've got toys for little people and big people. And that's not where they stop, because then they give him like a special key and they say, and on your floor, we have a special room for you that you can go to anytime, and it's filled with candy. And you can choose whatever you want. And
What
it was
did
a
you
mother.
think
We
about
both
that?
like,
Like,
oh my God.
no, keep them away from the candy.
In all sincerity, we got into that, and it was like they had like red, white, and blue Jelly Bellies, very American Revolutionary War, kind of thing. But it was like nuts and potato chips, and they had this amazing water machine that would turn you into sparkling water. Like, it actually turned out to be much healthier than I thought. But my child went there like 18 times a day and literally was like, "This is the most amazing thing." It's that type of like, whoa experience that from a curated perspective, it was everything from the key they had chosen, how they presented it, the fact that they presented it in such a way that they got down and talked to him like he was a 40-year-old man, and was worthy of their attention. That's what I think you start to see in these places. What I expect to see more in the Middle East, and I think that they're going to be really driven to, is I think we're going to see a lot more collaborations coming between some of the high fashion houses who are already seeing their sales in the Middle East go through the roof. I also think we're going to see a lot more collaborations. And we saw this with one of our clients, Life Lab in Riyadh. They partnered with Six Senses, which I love.
Yeah, and they've been doing like really, really beautiful excursions and trips in the lead up to the opening their club, which is a great way of building community, but giving people these incredible experiences, really, really high end experiences, the ability to get to know their trainers and get to know the Life Lab brand before their doors are actually open in Riyadh, which was a really great tactic. I think that, particularly kind of going back to thinking about that luxury service, and what boutique owners can take from this is maybe kind of looking at like the skills of the people that you're recruiting, because what we've seen is the business owners who are going for that luxury experience, they're not necessarily recruiting from within fitness directly for their kind of concierge roles. They're looking for people who've previously worked in luxury hospitality, who know what it means to have those small touches, because if you're going for luxury positioning with the brand, it's essential that like every experience that member has when they come in is amazing, and that's all delivered by the staff there themselves. And so you can have the most beautiful facility possible, you can have the best equipment, but if your staff are not trained to be delivering that luxury, then that's when it will all fall apart. So I think it's been interesting, that crossover of bringing more people from hospitality into the fitness industry.
It's one thing that's been really interesting. When I spent a lot of time in Dubai over the last year and a half, and one of the things that, if I could say, destroyed places that looked extraordinarily luxurious, is that they treated their staff as kind of toss away roles, like roles that didn't really matter. It's very common, if you've spent any time in the Middle East, you're going to see that a lot of workers come from countries where they're going to live there 11 months of the year. They're going to head back to their home country. So they're coming from the Philippines, they're coming from Pakistan. They're oftentimes recruiting what I would call different tiers of background and experience from those countries. But it's oftentimes considered very much unskilled workers. These are workers that have not worked in a luxury experience. And we went to a facility that called Seven. It's a really a
I
health
know
club
them.
slash
They
studio.
keep sending me marketing messages, so they're
They just opened, I think, in Ibiza as well.
Ah,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know
Or
that.
maybe one of those right around there. But it was fascinating because we walk in. In my mind, I would have said it was premium, not a luxury facility, but it was a lovely facility. It was obviously very well staffed. The equipment was stunning, like completely custom. And then the front desk started, and it was the worst experience ever, because it was like talking to someone, and I, asked the first question and you could see them just go blank. And sure enough, there was a woman next to me doing the same thing. And I mean, it was just repeated, repeated, repeated. So I think it is important to realize that if this is what you're going for, your staff costs and your staff experience are going to be elevated to match your
Absolutely.
elevated price points that you're going to be at.
Yeah, that's right. You've absolutely got to invest in them and their continued training and giving them the ability also to be able to make decisions for themselves as to like what is best for this client that's coming in. How can I surprise and delight them? How can I make sure that they're getting that quality experience every single time? So, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think final thing in the Middle East that I guess I am looking for. This hasn't happened yet because I think a lot of these places are under construction, but across Saudi Arabia, there is obviously some very different visions of what living and working on a day-to-day basis. You think about the line that they have that's being built, that's going to be like a mile long, literally community in the desert where all of these things are going to be built in. You've got some people that are really pushing the health and wellness side of this, and you can see that they're being very thoughtful on, like, how do we make this walkable? How do we make this um, movable by your body rather than by traditional transportation that lots of us have gotten used to? But how do we build fitness and wellness into this? So I think as we look over the next, few years, I think we're going to see more and more places popping up that are just doing ridiculously innovative work. We saw the plans for a wellness center and hotel in Saudi last year that was quite possibly the most exquisite thing I'd ever seen. I mean, they'd brought in one of the best architects in the world. It was just beautiful work. They had thought about everything differently, and they were thinking once again about that entire consumer
Yeah,
experience.
that's right. And I think it's really kind of built into like the fabric of society as well there. And that particularly in Dubai, recently the government announced that starting like for Emiratis, they are going to provide complete like free complete like genomic testing. They're going to have their genomic testing done and then custom compounding delivered, the subscription that's given to everybody. And so this is a really drive by the government there to like embrace wellness, longevity medicine, really investing in that. For their population, and then we're seeing that then kind of then feed into other businesses that are popping up around health and wellness. Like we're seeing a lot of tourism, particularly from the UK, going over to Dubai for seeing like wellness hotels and taking inspiration there, and then kind of back to us in London.
I think two interesting things in the Emirates. You've got the Crown Prince of Dubai who has opened his very private center for wellness and sports. It's where LeBron James went to have surgery and recover and train. It is where some of the greatest boxers in the world. You can look at the tennis players that are there, Djokovic and all of that regularly. Like there are people looking at that very differently because they've set the stage that that's where they're going to be. But secondarily, you've got brands like Arata, which started with I would say like a upper mid tier, lower premium, well fit, exceptionally well run, very large scale health clubs on this. And they've now moved into investing in purchasing Platform, which is a boutique fitness brand that is there. They have invested in an incredible longevity doctor. And his brand, I feel like he's Australian, but I would have to think back on this and starting to build this up. It's a place in the Emirates where red light therapy has been covered for years. They have been putting in the basics of things that we're like, whoa, cryotherapy, all of this stuff. That's just part of their insurance platform. That's considered very basic body maintenance. So I feel like a lot to look to for this. Now, knowing we're going to be doing this in two parts because
A lot
I
to
think
talk
Heather,
about.
I think Heather and I could
Yep.
do this in like five parts, so that we can go onward. Can we take a jump to Australia for just a hot sec? There is a brand in Australia, not necessarily in boutique fitness, but again, as we're piggybacking off of this, why do I want to say it's the St. James? Now I'm going to be looking this up, um, and be like, what is my luxury gem? It's not the St. Haven. Is that it? Now you're like, where are you going?
Tell me more.
This
Tell me
is
more.
it. This is it. Okay. Just look at this.
Oh, I have to. Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So this is the St. Haven is one of these places that when it opened a couple of years ago, I went, whoa. I remember Rob Beal, who was at Third Space, one of the smartest human beings in fitness. had sent me this and just went, "Oh my God, have you seen this?" And I was like, "No, but can you like put me on a plane to Australia now?" Interestingly, real estate developer who comes in and says, "I believe there's an opportunity for something that's truly luxurious." And I mean, they have really treated this as something very different. Like, this is a sanctuary. They're very clear to say this. They haven't branded it as a gym. They haven't branded it as boutique fitness. They haven't branded it as a spa. They've branded it as a sanctuary. Like, I'm just going to read this because I think you talk about vision and mission statements that we love. Like, this is one of mine. St. Haven is your second home, a place to disconnect, recharge, surrender, and share experiences with others, each on their own personal journey. We exist to elevate your well being. And for us, that means harnessing the power of modern science, ancient wisdom, and human connection to lead happier, healthier, and more fulfilled lives.
That's beautiful, isn't it? Like, they've really
Thank
nailed that. And I think it really speaks to this shift that we're seeing in demand for this is what consumers want. It's not just I want to go and have a workout. The language of connection, definitely recharging, just with how busy people's lives are now, and an increasing awareness of the importance of recovery. That actually taking time out for yourself, having that kind of reset, recharge is incredibly important to your overall health and well-being. It's not sitting around doing nothing. And so we're seeing big demand, I think, for these kinds of studios. The imagery there reminded me a bit of Remedy Place over here in the US, which similarly is kind of built around that social connection. It's not a gym, there's no workout there, but it's rest, recovery, sauna, cold plunge, and they do it really, really beautifully too.
Yeah, I think this was something that this is one of the first brands that I had seen that led with this so completely. They sold out their first facility, which on a monthly price I feel like was priced between like 600 US dollars and 10,000 US dollars a month. So really saying that they were going to offer the full range of services and adapting for those people that want personal training, that wanted to be a part and have spa service, that wanted one-on-one recovery and wellness-based services. But they really sat and I think did a beautiful job from everyone I know that has been there, going and looking at you as an individual. Like, they said that, when they sat down with what they knew as a sales team member, they never felt like they were talking to a sales team member. In fact, one of my friends that went in there said it was like I was talking to a senior level physician who was like really sitting down, really listening, really discussing, and really saying, these are the different directions we could go. If you want this, then maybe this. If you want that. And it felt like, even though they were on a membership, it felt like they had been prescribed a completely custom solution. We talk custom compounding. It was like concierge fitness that they were being shown. And it was just because the process in the sales system was so different than what we see in most places in
Yeah,
fitness.
and that's exactly what consumers are looking for at the moment is this personalization. They want to feel like they're having a completely personalized approach, that brands know them, understand them, and are able to offer them exactly the right thing for them. And I think that's particularly helpful when it comes to like health clubs where you potentially have a lot of different things that you're potentially trying to either sell to people or give people access to. And from a marketing perspective, you don't want to bombard them with like, here's this list of 100 things you could potentially do with us. It starts with getting to know that client personally and being able to deliver that tailored approach to them and tailored recommendations so that you know that they're accessing the things that's right for them. And that could go as far as just even like the difference in recommendations, say with recovery, between what you'd recommend to a male client versus a female client. There's some really interesting research coming out of WHOOP recently about the differences in the way that women process the cold and how frequently, yeah, which made sense to me when I heard it. I was like, okay, yeah, we're not exactly the same as men. That actually those kinds of recovery tools may still work for us, but we don't maybe necessarily need it to be as cold. We don't need to be as frequently. But with those kinds of insights on clients, it enables that brand to be able to give a really tailored experience for each client, and then make sure that they're really getting the most out of their membership rather than feeling like they're kind of getting this generic kind of one size fits all approach. So I think that the personalization that we're seeing from luxury and premium brands is going to be one that can be transferred like across the industry.
I love that. I also think in Australia, two unique Pilates concepts have emerged over the last couple of years that I think It's going to be very interesting. There are things I really love about both of these. The first is strong Pilates. Now, we were lucky enough to work with Michael and Mark as they were coming to the United States, and have really enjoyed chatting with some of their master franchisors around. But it's built obviously on the row former. And this rowing machine reformer hybrid, they've incorporated bikes in. So we've now got, incredible things in terms of cardio and strength mixed together. They're attracting a lot more men to Pilates. I mean, you're going to see 40 to 50% men in these classes, which I have not seen at any other studio in the world. I think this is, Pilates for people who loved Orange Theory, who loved F45, but were like, whoa, the injury rates were just way too high. This has not been healthy for my body long term. And they've been really creative. Second piece of this, and I was going back in and looking, they've got a couple of brands in Australia, Your Reformer being one of them, but several franchise brands that have really come and said, hey, do we have to have the perfect instructor in every classroom? And they've done this by they've set up a screen with every machine. It's not going to be uncommon to see 25 reformers in a class. And rather than having their lead instructor in every classroom, they've got an instructor who is in there who is not leading the class, but is guiding, supporting, and helping people. And instead, at 9 a.m., they're live streaming their classes from their primary instructor in X, Y, and Z. From a franchise system, this has been really nice, I think, for an awful lot of people because hiring is a problem. Hiring is a struggle. Do I know if it's where it's going to go and if it's going to work in every market? I'm not sure. It's working really well. We've seen some of these franchises pop up in New York City from these Australian brands. And so I think so far they're really selling out. People are hungry for this. They're saying the class experience is incredible because they really have two instructors on here, an instructor that's deeply focused on them individually and an instructor that's focused on leading the class. Time's going to tell if that's going to be something that's going to hold forth.
Yeah. And I think there's also the potential there for those brands, if they can get the delivery right of being able to work with their own equipment, but being able to provide content for remote classes, then there's also really untapped opportunity, I think, with the home market and with hotels as well. We're seeing, as we just talked about before, more and more hotels wanting to get into wellness. They want to be able to be offering more services, and they're looking for brands that can maybe potentially provide the equipment, but with classes there that are on demand that would allow you to take a reformer class in their hotel without them needing to have the instructor there. Similarly, at home, more and more people purchasing equipment and wanting to be able to access that content. So I think if brands are able to do that at scale within the studio, not needing to rely on so many like in-person instructors, then that's a good way of testing whether they've also got the opportunity maybe to be selling into like the home or the hospitality market.
I love it. I love it. Well, y'all, we've gotten to the end of episode 1. We're coming back for episode 2. We're going to be talking about a lot more regions of the world, things that we're loving. If you've enjoyed this, share this away. I think this goes beyond just boutique fitness. This is probably to anyone in the fitness industry that you're thinking of, anyone who's curious about where the industry is going, what are the trends that we should be hunting for, and really what are consumers deeply seeking. We'll see you in episode 2.